Here we go. May the 10th. Just thought I'd sit down and have a little chat. And like I always say, I'm just a nobody. I'm not like a lot of these people on YouTube, BitChutes, and all these other platforms that tell you have to believe everything I say and are so long-winded that they talk for forever. Masters of confusion. And it is a confusing world to many. But the masses just don't see it. They are under that spell. In my age, up until, it's going on 6 years now, 5 years anyway, I was just like one of them. I believed everything that I was told. I believed everything the news said. I thought it was real. They had me convinced that anything they said on that little black box was factual, was the most trusted name in news. And people under the spell that haven't woke up, the masses, they are zombie-like, just going through life, believing everything they're told, believing everything the school indoctrinates them into, and almost worships the politicians and those in the media that can do no wrong to them, and in the medical profession. I would have never dreamed this up until a good 5 years ago, that there could be so much evil running this world. And the Bible tells us in the book of Revelations, chapter 12, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the dragon, the serpent, has been cast down and drew a third part of the stars with him. The stars which it also clarifies as the fallen angels. For he knows he has but a short time. And many in the so-called truth movement, that all they do is regurgitate basically an opposing narrative that the mainstream news puts out, don't see what is really happening here. That the Bible is actually being fulfilled. Those so-called people that are awake or seeking truth, following channels that they don't even know who those people are. You don't even know who I am. But they are deceivers. They are plants. They've been put there. People have been brought up their whole life for this moment. Up until 5 years ago, I never even heard the term Mason, Masonic, lodges, secret societies. But now it's everywhere. They've come out into the light, but the light is now darkness. Everything is backwards, and the Bible told us that would happen. They would call evil good and good evil. A lot of people in the so-called truth society can't accept that there is such a demonic force at work on earth. And let's go back to that one verse I was talking about In Revelation 12:12, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. You see, in the very first chapter of Genesis, he didn't call the sea earth. He called the water sea. And he called the dry land earth. It's right there, too. Another proof that it's not a ball. How can you call a ball earth when 2/3 of it is water? Why didn't you call it a ball sea? But you don't get that, do you? Those that don't believe in the flat earth, they believe in the fantasy of outer space. And they believe in their gods, their space industries, and their governments, and their news media, that they would never lie to them. Right now there's a rover moving around on Mars, finding mushrooms, and a tiny helicopter flying around sending back images. But yet, they tell us the Earth is 4 times larger than the moon. And they've got all this money to make these big giant telescopes and space stations, which there's no proof of it ever being built. None, zero. It does not exist. Only in Hollywood. All these science fiction movies and fantasy movies they've put out, they are playing it on a world stage now. And people, their minds is just confused to what's real and what's fantasy. The masses. They are buying all of it. And yet, all this money, all this tax dollars, well, what does it matter? How many billions of dollars a year are they stealing of your tax dollars to make a bunch of CGI lies when people are going homeless, hungry, and they promote their wars? The rulers of this world are who all have bowed down to the evil, to Lucifer himself. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and evil in high places. Who are they? Are they the fallen angels? Or the rulers of this world even human? The term alien, in a sense, is true. They are alien to the human race. The angelic world is not like a human, a spiritual world. This is a spiritual war. But yet, going back to the moon, all this money being spent, all they would have to do, simple, fly one of their little rockets up, head it right to the moon. Hey, China did it just a couple of years ago. They landed on the dark side. Got a rover up there. On the dark side so you couldn't zoom in and see it. Point a camera straight up, because that's the only way you could see the Earth from the moon. If you only see one side of the moon from the Earth's surface, the only possible way would be look straight over your head. Straight up. To see the Earth. Show us that 4 times larger than the moon, so-called perfect ball, rotating with the clouds moving and the stars in the background and the sun in the background. 24-hour a day, 24/7, watching the Earth rotate and its little tiny satellites going every which way around it. Why can't they do that? Because we're living in a fantasy world. It's all lies, all made up. In Hollywood, the holly tree, the magic wand. the fallen angels. Those that have sold out, they're sold to the devil in Hollywood and in the music industry. They get them a star, an inverted star, a bafflement on the Walk of Fame in the City of Angels, L.A. It's all there in plain sight. I never dreamed there would be so much evil and corruption of the human race. And I used to ask people years ago when I was first waking up, what's going to come first? The zombie apocalypse or the alien invasion? We have been invaded by aliens, the fallen angels, that are not human, that are quite possibly possessing those in charge of this world, that are deceiving the masses because the truth is not in them. The little g, the God of this world, has blinded their minds. And now the CDC says, prepare for a zombie apocalypse. Well, look around you at all the diapers on people's faces, cutting off their oxygen supply to their brains. I think we're seeing both. And in that 12th chapter of Revelations, he said he has but a short time. And look at what has happened in just a little over a year. They couldn't come right out and do it immediately. This has all been progressively going to the climax of the human race. I like to use the term drag racing, heading toward the trip to lights at the end of this quarter-mile strip. You start out, you're not moving very fast. Then over time, as you're going down that drag strip, you shift a gear, you speed it up. And then you shift another gear, you speed up more. This is over decades, over hundreds of years, but each time you shift a gear, you're going faster and you're getting closer to the end where you will trip the finish line. And by the time you get to the finish line, you're going full throttle. There's no turning back. That's what gets me. These people claim we are winning. No, you're not. This was all written. They don't believe in God, or they would know what is happening. We are full throttle, in high gear, almost at the finish line. Buckle up. The alien invasion and the zombie apocalypse, the evil in high places is all upon us. And the only salvation comes from one name, Jesus Christ, the true living Son of God, Creator God Almighty. You're not on some ball flying through a fantasy outer space, which they have programmed back when you was in first gear with all the space programs on the television and in the movies, the science fiction. There is no difference between science fiction and reality anymore. The line has blurred. But have a great day. And just take what you can, leave the rest. Love y'all. Down the road.